Play right side.
3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Welcome to Seattle Sports Insider Podcast, your best source for the latest news and conversation on what's happening with the big teams of the Pacific Northwest. We'll cover it all. Seahawks, Mariners, Supersonics. Supersonics? I think I grabbed the old script. Anyway, if it's big and it's sports and it's Seattle and surrounding, we're on it. Follow us on Twitter @MarinersTalk24 and on Facebook, Seattle Sports Insider Podcast. And now, time for the second best father-son duo in Seattle sports history. After, of course...
Goodbye, baseball! They do it! The Griffies with back-to-back home runs!
Here's your host of the Seattle Sports Insider Podcast, Justin Bonanno.
It has been a while, but we are officially back, ready to record our fourth podcast of the year. Trying to get one out every month. A little bit slower this year. Things are getting busy, but I am back with some new decorations. And Eric, it's good to see you.
You too. So I guess a month in your day is 60 days instead of 30, if you want to count 4 podcasts on. Yeah, sure. I'll go with that.
It's been a busy time. The wedding's sneaking up on us, and the wedding planning, it does take over your life a little bit. I think everyone warned us, and even when everyone tells you the same thing, you just still have the belief that you're going to be different. Obviously, still a little foolish. It did take a lot of our time, so we're working through it, and we're excited, and I'm excited to hop on this Mariners bandwagon as we roll in through October, hopefully.
And just to be clear, you and your lovely fiance Katie are getting married, not you and me.
Yes, that probably would be frowned upon on most states. But how have you been in the last couple months? It's been a while since we chatted.
Good. Yeah, I can't miss this must-see TV anytime Cal Raleigh gets up to the plate. It doesn't matter if we're doing wedding prep for you or making dinner. It's like, oh, stop time. Got to watch Cal. It is must-see TV.
Yeah, it's been fun. He's putting on a show in the All-Star game. He's doing things no catchers have ever done. And I think if I did my math correctly, that 40th home run yesterday puts him on pace for the American League Aaron Judge home run single season record. So, yeah, is this what it was like watching Griffey back in the day?
Yes, but this is a little bit different only from the aspect of with it being a catcher. And it's a situation where a catcher has so many things going on, worrying about the pitching staff and knowing every single hitter on the other team that you don't expect this. So it kind of came out of nowhere in that regard. But yes, it is almost like watching Griffey as far as when Griffey came to the plate, you just had to stop whatever you were doing. But as far as going in with the expectations, you had some of those expectations with Griffey from the time that they drafted him first overall. With Cal, you thought awesome defensive catcher, great arm, handles the pitching staff really well, has 20 to 30 home run power and is going to hit 240. And now he's just completely eviscerated those numbers, and it's awesome to see. So from that respect, it's a little bit different, and it's almost a little more joyful every time he hits one, just because of the backstory than when Griffey came up and you were just kind of more in like, okay, is he going to hit one this time, or is he going to be his next at bat? With the backstory of Cal, it's almost like it's just an unbelievable story that you're watching.
It's pretty cool that he's putting Seattle on the map, especially the Mariners. Even when I go to my men's league game, it's like Cal Raleigh is the topic of conversation. Obviously, the home run derby helps, right? That's national. A lot of people watch it, but it's pretty cool. I will say one thing. I am very worried about his second half because of the wear and tear on his body. I mean, just catching in general is tough. Catching and hitting, it's going to be tough on his hands, his legs, all the things he needs to hit those home runs in the second half. So are you worried about a second half slowdown?
Worried? No. More concerned about maybe him taking enough time this off season to rest and recuperate, and going into next year, maybe giving him more DH days than the days that he was DHing this year. But this year, he is the guy that's built perfectly for a one season of, pedal to the metal like we're doing with him. His body, he gets beat up, but he's got a good body to catch back there. He's the right mental state to go through this, where they're handling all the national requests for commercials and podcast appearance and radio appearances. He's the perfect guy. He's not getting too high with that. So I don't worry about a second half slump. And really, what are we down to? 60-ish games left. So I think we would have already started to see a slump happening. And he may not keep up the home run pace, but he's still getting hits on the days that he isn't hitting the long ball. And with Julio and Rosarina being unbelievably hot now, Randy has been incredibly hot the last month and hitting the ball out. That might actually help Cal out more with more protection in the lineup, where he could see some better pitching to throw some more fastballs, have guys on base, and come through even more.
Well, there's your answer. We made it about 30 seconds in the podcast without mentioning Cal Raleigh. So, he's top of mind. You got to talk about him. But before we get full into the Mariners, trade deadline, second half, can they catch the Astros? I wanted to jump in. We had a listener question, and I wanted to get it on the pod. It looks like Brooklyn from LeGrand, Oregon. I don't know where that is, but I'm sure there's nice people in LeGrand, Oregon. Wants to know our thoughts on the Savannah Bananas since they're coming to T-Mobile Park for 2 days in September. That's a great question, Brooklyn, because they are everywhere right now. You can't go on the TikTok or social media, and they are booming. I saw they're even on ESPN now. Well, what's your take on the Savannah Bananas?
I watched some of the game that they were in Fenway Park, and can you imagine what's really cool about this is if you think about, okay, Yankee Stadium, Fenway Park, Wrigley Field, and you say the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball, if you will, are going to go in there. Those are storied baseball places with storied baseball fans, and you wonder, oh, I don't know if they're going to draw such a big crowd in those places. This isn't a AAA park that they're in and whatnot. Sold it out at Fenway, and the fans were absolutely loving it. So it is a fun time. They're fun to watch. A pop up in the outfield or infield, and the guy's under it, and all of a sudden he spins around and catches it behind his back. You can steal first base at any time in that league, and it's fun to watch. Now, I will say, if you're a baseball diehard and you're going to go to the game and expect baseball, and don't go and expect to be entertained with baseball as the tool to do it. So if you're just expecting a baseball game, it is, but it's a lot different. You're going to see a lot more hitting and swinging because they're mainly throwing fastballs. And you're going to see more balls in play and some wacky things that happen with it. So the fans love it. It gives more shine to baseball. So what's not to love? And I am surprised, to be honest with you. I'm surprised that they can go and sell out these major league ballparks. They've come such a long way in just a few years.
Yeah, I love it personally. And I think you forgot to mention the coolest rule is if a fan catches a foul ball, that counts as an out. I think that's awesome. You always get a little bit made fun of for being an adult bringing your glove to the ballpark. But if I ever make it out Savannah Bananas, I think that would be a pretty highlight to make it out in the game. But yeah, I think there's two reasons I love it. One, from the business perspective, right? They tried something completely out of the box, and I'm sure we have some, young entrepreneurs with fresh ideas that have been probably told, "Hey, that's a dumb idea. That's never going to work." Because on paper, dancing baseball, it doesn't seem like it's going to work. And, they kept working it, and I love how they just persevered through that. And so I love it from the business perspective. And then, yeah, from the fan perspective, it's cool to watch. There's trick plays, right? A lot of personalities, a lot of dancing, and I think the one thing it's missing, and I know they're working on this, is when I watch the games on ESPN, very entertained, but the game doesn't really mean anything. And like I'm the type of person that's like, if my team loses, I want to feel that, right? If my team wins, I want to feel like how important it is. So I think they're working on getting a league. I know they've created a few more teams. So if they do bring into a league aspect, I think that could be like a home run, and they're going to have serious fans that are fans of the Bananas, the Firefighters, and all their other teams. And what really sold me is watching it on ESPN, and then my buddy Casey, longtime friend of the show, who's actually been on here a few times as a college baseball player. He took his kids when they're at the Clemson field, sold out 80,000, which is crazy, and he said he loved it. So if he saw it in person, he's more probably a strict baseball fan than an entertainment fan. So getting his approval, watching it on ESPN, I'm very impressed with what they've been able to do.
And now they've added the teams like the Firefighters, or what are they? I think they're up to 4 teams, if I'm correct, that are playing. So they could have some sort of league. Now, the question then becomes, if they're having to win, is that going to cut down on the dancing, the trick plays, and whatnot? So that will be interesting to see. And I don't know how that would work out, because the Harlem Globetrotters, they're going to win 99.9999% of the time when you go to the game. They're could be something crazy where the Washington Generals make a half-court shot to win the game, but it hasn't happened in a long time. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That'll be interesting. Let's just put it that way. If they do that, I wonder if like the 7th, 8th, and 9th, or how many innings they end up playing in a league. Let's just say the last 3 innings of the game. How much those last 3 innings change to regular baseball if they're having to win or lose?
Yeah, and if you haven't tapped in yet, the game itself is not scripted. All the dances, the choreography, of course, it's scripted, but the game itself it's baseball, right? And even if you tried to script baseball, it seems impossible. How could you tell someone to hit a three-run home run? We've seen like the guys in the home run derby, right? Even they have like a 50% success rate of hitting a batting practice fastball. So that part's pretty cool too. Is it's real baseball mixed with a lot of entertainment. A lot of people say, "Hey, baseball's slow, baseball's boring." Maybe that Savannah Bananas might be your speed.
Yeah, I don't agree with that from the baseball slow and boring, especially with the new rules they had. But yes, that is the reputation out there to some non-fans or casual fans. So yeah, they might really, really enjoy this. And
Did
they'll
I?
do TikToks with fans.
Yeah, the fan engagement, well done. Take notes if you're a young entrepreneur out there. Did I tell you about my bet I made with my CFO last year?
You might have, I don't know.
We were in Seattle for an offsite, and we made a bet that whoever had the better record between the Seahawks and the 49ers, CFO is a big 49ers fan, obviously a big Seahawks fan. The loser of that bet had to wear a jersey of the other team in the office, and I finally cashed in on that bet. And what made it even better was my VP is based in Seattle, and he's also a big Seattle fan. So he even, when he got wind of the bet, he bought our CFO a custom Seahawks jersey with his name on it, and he had to wear it to the office in the Bay Area, one of our big meeting days for everyone to see, and it was nice.
Awesome, awesome. And from a business perspective, that's really nice. It's kind of like the Savannah Bananas, where you can still be serious, but you can still have fun. So that's a good place to work.
Yeah, great culture. I think next time I should have done an earnings call. Could you imagine if
No, I don't think
an
so.
analyst popped in an earnings call and they saw a Seahawks jersey and be like, wow, this company has the right people leading it. So
Yeah,
I don't know how big I'd have to wager on that, but I was thinking that would be funny.
yeah, I don't think you'll get that bet made. Yeah. So look at that. Brooklyn's question from Oregon got us spurred on to even earnings calls from the Savannah Bananas.
Oh yeah, the path the podcast takes sometimes.
So Justin, tell people where to hit us up with more listener questions.
Yeah, find us on TikTok, Banana Sports Banter, or Instagram, Banana Sports Banter as well. If you have any questions for the podcast, we would love to answer. I think there's been a couple that I missed. I'll have to go back through, and sometimes they comment on them, and I always just check the DMs. So DMs, I'll see them first, but yeah, if you have a comment on any of the videos, I'll get to them.
Cool. And it'll be Justin getting them to him because I have neither TikTok or Instagram.
Yeah, maybe we should get you a TikTok.
Let's not.
Maybe next time. All right, so we talked about Cal. We had to talk about Cal. Let's go back to the Mariners. Currently sitting 4 games out behind the Astros. Scares me a little bit is the Rangers are 5 games out. So let's not forget about them. We know they have some talent, and especially if the Astros are a little banged up, I'm almost more worried about the Rangers passing us. But tangent aside, no matter what you have to say about Dipoto, you gotta clap it up for him. That deal for Naylor was perfect. They stay out of the top 10. They give up some pitching depth, some interesting prospects, but you feel comfortable giving up some pitching depth based on where the team's at right now, and bringing in a guy who's hitting 290. I think he strikes out less than like 10% of the time. Exactly what the Mariners need in a position of need. Well done, Jerry.
Yeah, everybody should hopefully be happy with this deal. This team was screaming out for this need, and whether it was Dipoto or the GM, whoever, the baseball ops made the deal. And this, my only criticism was I was screaming for this deal to be made last winter because I think they needed this deal, and what Arizona gave up to get him wasn't much, and the Mariners could have exceeded that deal very easily and had him for the whole 6 months. But regardless, we've got him now. This is, I know some people out there like, well, couldn't the Mariners re-sign him? You have to look at this as a straight rental, and this is the type of move that teams trying to win now make. This is the move that the Mariner fans have been screaming for of where are the win moves. Objectively, if you look at the rebuild, when they tore it down and did the rebuild, they did a fantastic job of building up the farm system and shedding payroll and bringing in younger guys and having talent throughout the minor leagues and basically rebuilding the farm system twice without rebuilding a second time to move it up into the top 3, 5, wherever, depending which analyst you listen to, some even number 1. So this is the type of move that's been missing. You have to look at it as a straight rental. Don't even think about whether you re-sign him or not, because if you do, that's great. But this is a win now, and this is the move that everybody has been screaming for. And you also have to give props to ownership because they loosen the purse strings a little bit in order to make a deal like this, and that's very important. So yes, I 2 thumbs up to the organization. And now if I'm a GM, the days of having to give up Freddie Garcia, John Halama, and Carlos Guillen for a rental player are pretty much gone, or Jason Varitek and Garrick Lowe for Heathcliff Slocum. The days of having to give up your top prospects for a rental are gone. And if you're in a win now type mood, I move in a situation where I'm fishing in the significant rental player pond every year. And then you can add in pieces of, club control and whatnot on other deals. But I'm fishing in this pond a lot if you've got the capital, meaning the farm system and ownership willing to loosen payroll. Thumbs up.
Yeah, I love it, especially knowing what we gave up. Staying out of the top 10 prospects is incredible. I think it helps that like first base is in a prime position, so Mariners got a little bit lucky there. But yeah, I think this is the exact fit they needed, and to go out and make this move, it's got to be a huge boost to the clubhouse. And I know there's a lot of Dipoto haters, and sometimes I even get frustrated. I know that he has to balance ownership, but the week he's had, I mean, granted, he wasn't completely in control of Cade Anderson falling to the Mariners at 3. That's blind luck. The Mariners, won in the lottery draft. And then watching that draft with Cade Anderson slips, what an absolute gift to the Mariners. You already have a top 5 farm system, and now they go get like the best college pitcher in the draft, who we could probably see. It would be realistic to see in the MLB next year. We'll have to see, they have a lot of good starters, so maybe from not a Mariners perspective, he won't be there, but from he's probably ready. He could be there, and I think you could pencil him in as a 3-4 starter next year, and then hopefully that ceiling just keeps rising, but the floor's there, and Yeah, just what a great week it's been for the Mariners. Getting Kate Anderson, Cal wins the home run derby, and then this Naylor trade. They needed a bat, and I think this is one of the better bats on the market outside of Gino. Like, if you look at some of the other names, yeah, there's always the long shot guys like O'Neal Cruz could get moved, but he still has teams years of team control. So I'm a little surprised that the package was so light. I know Arizona desperately needs pitching, so maybe it was just right time, right team, right place because they've been banged up and they need that pitching depth. But yeah, maybe to your point, rental players are not grabbing the type of prospects that we've seen in the past. GMs have realized, hey, I'm only getting this guy for 50 odd games. I can't sell the farm. I can give you some pieces. But yeah, I was pretty down bad after that Yankees series with the Mariners, and then they go right into the All-Star break and sweep the Tigers and continue to make no sense. And now with the Naylor, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's awesome. Now, looking ahead, we still have what 5 days until the trade deadline. I don't think the Mariners, well, I'd be stunned if the Mariners were done. I think the next piece to fall, I know most people are saying that the next piece has to be Gino Suarez. I don't think that's where they're looking at the next piece. If that happens, I think they'll obviously take it. But the next piece, I think, will be a high leverage lockdown bullpen arm. And that's what this
I like
team
that.
really, really needs next. And then I think there will be another bat. I don't know if it will be Gino. I think there'll be another bat, but it may not be a top of the pie chart type of bat. But I think they're really looking at bullpen arms right now.
And I even have a guy in mind, Ryan Helsley, the closer for the Cardinals. High leverage, 1 year left on his deal, relatively cheap. I think his total deal was around 8 to 10 million. So absorbing it for 60 games, I would hope that ownership would be okay with that. And this isn't JT Chargois. This is a guy that's has 30 saves the last 4 years. So I think that would be a huge bullpen ad. Again, I don't know what it's going to cost. I'm personally, and I know this is going to be a hot take potentially, but I wouldn't trade out of the Mariners' top five prospects. Maybe Harry Ford, because you could say, well, we have Cal for the next 4 years. Speaking of it, thank the baseball gods, Cal signed a big deal before this season because that was huge. But yeah, I would say like Emerson, Montez, Arroyo, those guys, I'm kind of labeling them as untouchable. Maybe that's more one of those three gets you Gino, and Helsley's a little bit cheaper. But from my perspective, I'm not trading those three guys.
No, and I think you're right. I mean, he with the Cardinals media and such, he came out and basically said, "I know I'm getting traded." So he knows he's going to be dealt. I don't know the Cardinals organization well enough to know if Harry Ford for him straight up is a deal that makes sense for them,
Does that make
or if
sense for
it's
us? Would you do Harry Ford for a closer right now?
I would consider it with they might have to throw in another low level prospect if especially if the Mariners are going to take on all the money just because of being Harry Ford being blocked with Seattle. You're not going to bring Harry Ford up and make him your backup catcher next year. It just makes no sense. So his highest value to you right now is a trade piece. And I know that's got to be tough on him every day to think about where his next step is. But I listened to an interview with Jason Veritek not long ago, and he was so thankful to the Mariner organization for trading him because he was blocked by Dan Wilson, and he had no place to go. Not like I was thankful the Mariners. I got out of Seattle and I got to Boston.
Hmm.
He was just thankful that the Mariners sent him a place where he wasn't blocked. So I think the same could be said about Harry Ford, where he's going to go to a place that he's not blocked. So I don't know if that deal is the one that makes sense or not, but I think his biggest value to the Mariners will be a trade piece, and it may be in the offseason.
Yeah, I have no problem trading Ford, but I would like to get back like on a Rosarena where you get him for the year and a half rather than the couple months. I don't know. Harry Ford, it's tough because it is like an excess of riches and he's blocked, but to give away a top three prospect for a rental closer, I don't know. If that's the price, that's
I
the price.
misunderstood. I thought you said he had a year left after this year.
No, I think he's a free agent.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, no, I'm not going to trade probably Harry Ford for a
Okay.
rental. I thought you said he had a year plus 50 games left.
No, I'm pretty sure he knows he's getting out because he's a free agent at the end of
Okay.
this year.
Okay. Yeah. Um, I don't think yeah, I don't think you're going to move one of your top prospects for
Okay.
rental.
Here's an interesting idea. I'm just kind of spitballing because we went down this Cardinals trail. They do have Nolan Arenado over there, who signed for this year and next year, having a tough season. I think he's hitting like 237. Power's really not there. Defense still plays. He makes about like 16 million next year. What do you think? I mean, they probably would give them away for free if we took on the contract.
Yeah, I don't think the Mariners would have any interest from the aspect of hamstringing themselves 16 million around their ankles next year. I don't think they're going to take on a contract of a guy that isn't a huge upgrade because they roster financial flexibility has been their whole key to the last few years with them, and I don't think they're going to take on a guy that seems to be declining and have 16 million around his contract next year plus what 4 million left on this year, so roughly 20 million. I don't think they'll do it.
Yeah, the Mariners, they won't do it. But it would be interesting because if they could take on, essentially, they probably get them both for like some cash considerations or a player to be named later or something pretty cheap because I'm sure the Cardinals are trying to get out of that contract. Or they eat a bunch of the salary and then Harry Ford goes for both of them. Maybe.
Well, let's just, if the Yankees didn't do it, the team that could take on that kind of payroll and they're not interested in working out a deal, then I don't think that the Mariners would be, since the Yankees were looking at third baseman, looking at Suarez, looking at Arenado, and then finally deciding on McMahon out of Colorado, which the Rockies held on to too long. If they weren't going to do it, I don't think the Mariners will do it.
We're getting close to about 30 minutes in, which is officially our hot take segment. Yeah, I'll give you one question. You just say true or false. Gino's coming home this trade deadline.
I'll say false. I'll say false. Would I mind it? Absolutely not. I just don't think. I think they're, like I said, their next need is a bullpen arm. So if you're going to take the same pieces and move them, I think it's going to be for a bullpen arm. And I don't know if you have enough pieces then that you are willing to trade for another rental player. So I would not mind it. Love Gino, love the relationship he had with Seattle and the fans. But on a true false, false.
What do you think the price for Gino is right now? It's got to be very high because of the season he's having, the lack of power and hitters on the market. Like, is it going to take a top five prospect to get
That
him into your org?
I'm thinking that's probably what they're looking for. Now, how many teams are actually in it? The Phillies now apparently are in talks and such. And I think somebody released that 11 teams were looking to try to make a deal. Now, that could be inflated by Arizona. That could be inflated by the Mariners trying to scare off other teams, the Phillies trying to scare off other teams. Who
Smoke
knows?
screens
So
galore.
yes, and there are plenty of those out there this time of year. So uh, they're asking. I would think they're asking for prospects that are back to the Freddie Garcia, Carlos Guillen, John Halama days. Rather than your 18th prospect out of the organization.
What about Canzone? Do you think he has some trade value, or do you think this season is though we could expect in the future, and he's a long-term Mariners asset?
That's a great question, and I think their baseball people are trying to evaluate whether his chase rate is significantly down for the long term, and he's actually going to continue to hit. Remember, they loved him when we got him, and it took a little bit of time. So he's a guy right now that's having a great time back in the big leagues. Would it be a situation where, again, maybe they're selling high on him if they don't project that his chase rate is going to stay low or if he's going to be able to continue his power. His power has dripped off a little bit lately. So if they determine that he has more capital as a trade piece, I could see them including him because he's still a young guy. He still has a minor league option for this year, obviously, since he was already down there this year. So again, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, it would be an interesting piece because he's not free agent till 2030, so decent team control. Power numbers have been there in the minors. Again, it's a small sample size this year. I think it's close to he's played about 40 games, but his weighted runs WRC plus is 136. 100 is the MLB average, so 136 is very good. He's interesting to me, and I think he's right at that tilting point. It's where his value is going to be super high right now because someone looks at those stats and say, "Wow, we can control this guy for 3 years. He's starting to put it together." Or the Mariners say, "Yeah, the exact same thing. That's why we're going to hold on to him." So yeah, I'd be interested if there was a Geno trade, and especially with hopefully Robles is coming back, maybe do have a little excess in the outfield that you could move to some third base assets. Do you know when Robles is coming back? Has there been an update?
Well, I mean, they're still talking about September, but he's not really even doing baseball activities all that much yet. I know he hasn't swung, he hasn't really thrown the ball. I think if you get him back, it's an absolute bonus. I think you have to look at the rest of the year without him.
And then I haven't heard an update on Santos in a while. I don't even know if he's resumed pitching. Are we not counting him as that leverage arm for September and October?
It is like he has fallen behind the Iron Curtain of the old Soviet Union. You hear nothing about him anymore. I
Yeah.
mean, the last thing, okay, he had some knee soreness and then he's just gone. So, still on the IL. Haven't heard any injury update on him. He's like the forgotten man.
Yeah, I was trying to rack my brain. I think it was like early July I saw he was going to start resume throwing, and then that's the last update I've heard. And I was like trying to scroll through Twitter, looking through all the fantasy websites, and it's just been empty.
Yeah, I've not heard a thing about him. It's crazy. Back behind the Soviet curtain.
All right, so who do you think is the Mariners' most important player in the second half? Is it Julio starting to get hot in this Angels series? I think it's 4 home runs already. Logan, maybe it's a combo of Logan and Kirby. They haven't been healthy, and they're starting to get back to their own old selves. Is it Cal just knocking out 62 home runs? Who's the one guy that's like, if this goes well, the Mariners have a chance for the postseason?
Yeah, I know you're going to want me to answer one guy, but I think it's a combination of everything you just said there. And baseball is exactly
Who can
that.
carry the team though? Who can?
I don't think one guy will carry this team to the playoffs. I think it's a combination of everything you just said. This team doesn't have enough of a comfort zone that they can drop off 2 of those 3 pieces and still make the playoffs. I mean, you could have Logan Gilbert and Kirby going out and just being lights out, and the offense falls off the face of the earth. They're not going to make the playoffs. You could have the offense take off, and then heaven forbid Kirby and Gilbert get hurt again, and you're not going to make the playoffs. So baseball, I know the media always likes to, one guy carries a team, and that one guy definitely helps momentum and such. But I don't think you can look at it that way. I think it's a combination of everything you just said, and my background in teams, that's always true to me. So I always kind of chuckle when people say, "Oh, the one guy that is going to, carry the team to the playoffs." And I don't think you can answer that.
That was a good PR question, and you kind of made fun of my question at the same time. So no feelings hurt over here. I think for me, you could give the responsible take. It's Julio. Julio has to be Julio. He has to get going. Obviously, yes, to your point, Gilbert and Kirby have to pitch, but I think Julio's had an okay season, and we know he starts slow in the first half. If he's Julio in the second half, these 4 home runs, I think that the team, he can elevate that team from a bubble team to a AL West contender to, like, can I throw out the World Series? Like, is this team is built for October. I think it's almost the way that Cal won the home run derby. if they sneak into the first round of the playoffs, they are built to win.
No question. And that's what everybody's frustration has been with the organization. They put themselves in a situation where they have a team that can get, if they get into the dance, they can win it because of their pitching and enough offense. And that's where back to the win now moves that people have been frustrated with.
Yeah, it's crazy because I do think they are a legit World Series contender based on the fact that no one's really running away with the AL, right? In the NL, you have to compete with the Phillies and the Dodgers, and the Brewers look like a good team. Yeah, the Yankees are a good team. Tigers look good, but I think they're not good enough to be a juggernaut. I do think it could be kind of like when the Rangers snuck into the postseason a couple years ago, right? There wasn't one really good team, and they kind of got hot and ran the table. So it's crazy because they might finish 2 games out of a wild card spot, and I'm talking about the World Series. But I do think the way Polanco's playing this year is a great at bat. Getting in Naylor, Randy's been next level, and then obviously Cal's been a superstar, which at the beginning of the year we knew that Cal and Randy had power. I don't think we expected this much from them. So maybe it's a little bit recency bias with Cal and all these home runs and all this publicity and Randy, and but now Julio's hot. Like, they have the team to do it.
And for people that, you just used the word superstar, and really, if you look at it, think of the number of players that they have that's quote unquote superstars. And I'm not talking Barry Bonds superstar, let's say, but above average to the point where they are significant contributors. Cal, if Julio's hot, like you said, Randy on the offense, and then you've got Munoz, who's a bullpen superstar, Brash, who makes people look absolutely silly, and then Logan Gilbert and George Kirby. That's 7 players that are legit well above average stars and possibly will all carry this team, like you said. That's why I think they are built to make the playoffs and win in the playoffs. So they just got to get in, and they got to get out of their own way to do so, that we've seen in the past where they, do the 1 foot in on a buy, 1 foot out on a sell at the same time. No, make the winning moves to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think exciting because I remember doing the podcast at the beginning of the year, and there was just like probably I think we called out 4 just absolute dead spots in the lineup, right? It was like Haniger, it was right at the spring training, so Haniger's position, right? Dylan Moore, Ryan Bliss, kind of a dead spot. Third base, right? That was going to be a mix of everyone, and then Polanco, like weren't expecting much from him. And now you look at it like going JP, Julio, Cal, Naylor, Randy, Polanco, throw Canzone in there, and then even Cole Young. Like, give a quick shout out to Cole Young. I think after that 1 for 20 start, he's been lights out on base machine. So now you're looking at, I mean, there's not Williamson. Maybe sure doesn't have a lot of power, but he still puts together some good at bats. He's hitting well. Like, that's what most excites me is I think we went into this year with like, we're going to have 4 spots that are just, holes. And now everyone's up. You're like, Canzone came up with a big knock last night in that Angels game. So it's like, you feel pretty confident no matter where you are. Williamson and Young can get the rally going from the bottom of the order. And I think that's what excites me because it was normally like Julio and Cal had to go. And then it was just like, let's hope, Rayleigh or at the beginning of the year, Tellez could run into one. That was like the hope. If not, it was going to be a strikeout. Not sure we were going to get from Bliss and Moore. That lineup makes it a little bit more fun to watch baseball.
So, in other words, you're saying this whole team is built to make the playoffs and to carry on. So, not just one player. So, you kind of went back to my point there. But shout out to Cole Young, like you said. My most amazing thing I've heard about Cole Young is his senior year of high school. Apparently, he had 3 swings and misses the entire year. Not strike out. 3 times he swung and the bat didn't hit the ball in a season. I don't care what level you're at. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's absurd. I've been impressed with him, especially, that first game getting the walk-off. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I think like on paper, this team has to be the best team they've had, especially adding Naylor, considering how good Cal's been. That's why if Julio gets hot, I do think this is one of the better teams they've had on paper.
No question. Yeah, this team, it's always been the last couple of years if this offense is going to hold back this pitching staff. And this year, the offense is holding up their end of their bargain and getting better. And now they've lengthened the lineup with Naylor.
Do you think they need a third base upgrade, or do you have enough faith in Williamson?
If they add a bullpen piece and the rest of the team stays healthy and whatnot, I don't think they have to upgrade third base. I wouldn't be opposed for a rental player for the rest of this year coming in, somebody that drives in runs and has some power. But I'm fine with Williamson at third base. His defense is elite. And everybody says he's a bad hitter and what. The guy's hitting as a rookie over 250, which in
Hmm.
today's game is hitting like 320 back in the 80s or 90s. It's crazy, and everybody's saying, "Oh, he's a bad hitter." I'll take a guy that hits singles and brings in people as opposed to strikes out 40% of the time.
Yeah, the advanced metrics don't like him at all. But remember, we used to play the game is how many guys in the Mariners lineup were hitting above 220,
Yep.
and it was usually three guys. So now you look at the lineup, there's some respectable averages. 254 from your ninth. He's really the ninth hole hitter. I think
Yeah.
they,
And a rookie. And a rookie.
and a rookie. Yeah, take that good defense. Like I have no problem with that, and I get that like the advanced metrics don't like him because he does have a lot of power. But yeah, like you said, 250 as a rookie and with this lineup, you don't need him to be another Cal Raleigh. It'd be nice, but you can't have obviously 1 through 9 can't be all Cal Raleighs. You got to just have some guys that can get on base and set up Cal.
Exactly. When Cole, Young, and Williamson come to the plate, it's not to the point at the bottom of the lineup where now you're thinking, oh, well, we have absolutely no chance. These guys are going to strike out or what. They're going to put the bat on the ball. And
Hmm.
in baseball, that's the most important thing. So
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
I agree. I do think that's the most glaring hole if you look at the roster offensively. It's like, oh, we could just get a third baseman that hits for power. If the answer is a top three prospect for that, I don't know. I think you're fine with Williamson there and then bringing in Naylor and waiting for Julio to really get super hot, which these last couple games sounds like he might be there. So I'm always just nervous whether it's baseball cards, stocks, baseball players, buying someone at the top of the market when there's a lot of buyers always just makes me a little nervous. Obviously, the counterpoint is you go out and get Gino and you win a World Series. Who the hell cares what you gave up? So I do understand both sides. It just makes me nervous.
Yeah, yeah, I understand.
Well, cool. We only have a couple minutes left, but we haven't talked Seahawks since free agency or the draft. So I think we have to get into it now because we know the picture a little bit, and I kind of have to walk some things back. I was pretty adamant that I didn't want Sam Darnold. If you go back and look at it, the reasons were mostly I didn't want to pay for a veteran quarterback. Now, I think that's why John Schneider's the best because it's essentially a 1 year deal. So that I think is amazing and a relatively affordable price for a QB, especially with the year he had. I kind of feel bad for Sam. I think if those last Rams and Lions games didn't happen to him, he secures a 5 year Kirk Cousins kind of deal. So the market was a little bit down on him after those couple games, and yeah, I think it's a great move for the Seahawks because I wanted them to build around a rookie quarterback and allocate that money elsewhere. And essentially, that's why they're in the front office and I'm not. They essentially did both, right? Bringing in a veteran guy with experience that can win now. And hey, you know what? We're going to bring in this third round talent with a ton of upside. Probably not ready this year or next year, but we'll just improve those skills. And he could be the guy those next couple of years. So they did both. I think it's a good strategy. Just not put all the eggs in the same basket.
And from, the discussions when I saved about $10 million from what Geno Smith wanted with the Seahawks and pivoted very quickly to Darnold. And I think you're getting somebody that's going to upgrade you in the red zone for sure. Gino, quite frankly, was not good in the red zone for us, and I think Darnold's going to be better in the red zone. And let's not forget, too, they brought back Drew Lock. So you now have a quality backup. If for whatever reason Darnold gets hurt, hopefully not, I think you have the strongest quarterback room that you've had in quite some time. You're going to have special packages for Milroe, I'm sure, kind of like the Steelers did with Justin Fields after the Russell Wilson came in and took over for him last year. But you've also then upgraded your receivers, bringing in Cooper Kupp, and you've upgraded your offensive line. You've upgraded your defense with DeMarcus Lawrence. They had a spectacular offseason, and I am so excited for the preseason to start and get going here so we can get closer to the season. Training camp is underway, and I'm so excited. I think Vegas is always smart. I have to say Vegas is always smart, and how they get,
Casinos don't build themselves.
exactly, and how they get those small college games, where they'll say this team is, a 4.5 point favorite, and they win, by 3 points or 2 points or whatever it is. They're always almost exactly right, and they've come back this year and said the Seahawks are a 7.5 win team. I think that is the Seahawks and Seattle, again, with the reputation of being in Southeast Alaska, away from the national media, away from the continental United States and the rest of sports. There's no earthly way this team is a 7.5 win team. They won 10 games last year, and on paper, to me, they're way better this year.
Yeah, I think their defense is going to be top 5 in the league, especially year 2 with Mike Macdonald. Like, he is, and he's got some more weapons this year. And I kind of laugh because I heard some reports that, oh, Sam Darnold's struggling a little bit in camp. And I'm like, well, that defense is probably top 5, and he's got a new team, new offensive coordinator, all the receivers are new. Yeah, I would hope the defense is just feasting on that offense for the first couple of weeks because, the defense has added some pieces, but mostly the whole unit's coming back together. So I'd be a little bit concerned if I heard that the offense was tearing up the defense. So I laughed a little bit, and, some of my Broncos fans always like to send that Sam Darnold struggle a little bit, but that was kind of my take on it. It was like, well, yeah, like I would hope so. This whole offense has got to, Kubiak's learning a new team, new pieces on the O-line. Wide receivers are all new besides JSN. So, yeah, it kind of makes sense. It's going to be a little bit slow start. I'm interested to see how much that carries over into the start of the year. All those new pieces, new quarterback, new OC, new wide receivers, couple new tight ends, new O-line. I would imagine it's not going to be a very crisp start. But I think that defense is going to be good enough where they're not going to ask Sam Darnold to throw 400 yards and 4 touchdowns and find Justin Jefferson 80 yards downfield. I think they're going to reel him back a little bit and say, hey, not the game manager always has a bad connotation, but like at the end of the day, Tom Brady managed the game, right? If he had to throw for 500, he would throw for 500 yards. If he had to throw for 150 and play action to hand the ball off to win the game, that's what he would do. So I think they're going to be in a lot of 12 personnel. They're going to run the ball a lot. I'm expecting a big year from K9. And I think Sam Darnold's going to be in that, hey, when you got to go make a play and make a throw, we're going to need you. But we're not going to need you to drop back 60 times, 50 times a game and carry this team.
Basically, it's going to be, from what you're saying there, if you think back to the Viking-Seahawks game in Lumen Field last year, the game was close all the way through, and when the chips were down, Darnold took them down the field and scored the last touchdown to beat us. I kind of figure the same thing with a better defense now with the Seahawks than probably the Vikings had even last year. So, yeah, I think you're exactly right, and the defense has been upgraded. I'm so excited. For Nick Eamon, however you say his name. I stumble with his last name all the time. So new pieces on defense, young on defense. Witherspoon's going to be even better. For a shout out, maybe he'll make it through camp and be one of the guys, is that they brought Shaquille Griffin back as well. So remember how good he was for us. So I think the defense is absolutely stacked. The offense, one thing I like about basically the entire skill set of the offense being new and even some new offensive linemen is that they're going to progress as a unit. You're not asking Darnold to come in and start below where everybody else is and work his way up. They're going to progress as a unit. If you look at Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta last year, he was the one new guy in their offense that had to try to catch up to everybody. And if you watched any of the series on Netflix of Quarterback, you see that he really struggled with that being a new guy. I like the fact that this offense is going to come in basically new together and progress together. And I think that spells better than one guy trying to learn a new system and come in and catch an established offense, catch up to an established offense.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what Eman Worry. Hopefully that's the right. I've been
Yeah,
practicing
Eman
in the
Worry.
mirror. I know that's I have to slow it down. But Mike Macdonald is the safety whisperer. I mean, what he did with Kyle Hamilton in Baltimore, like if there's one guy you want to train and coach your safety, it's Macdonald. So I think he's gonna play kind of like that Jamal Adams role where he's like a linebacker, he's a DN, he's a safety, and he's filling up the box or he's I think his coverage skills is probably what he has to fine tune. But yeah, get him in the box, let him be physical, let him react, and just move him around, kind of like another Witherspoon, right? He can play a lot of different positions, so that'll be a nice weapon for McDonald and his defense to have.
And let's on the offense, let's go back and the elephant in the room is yes, you don't have DK Metcalf. But for what the Seahawks use DK Metcalf for, you're not having to replace the impact of a Justin Jefferson. There were a lot of times apparently that DK was a lot more open that Geno didn't throw to him. Now he did affect coverages a lot and he had the but they didn't really throw him a lot of 50-50 balls. They didn't throw him the ball over the middle and let him run. So what they used him for I think you're going to be able to replace. And I'm so excited about Cooper Kupp being here. I mean, he is the elite of the elite, back to like Steve Largent type route runner. And even if he is slowed down with his injuries a little bit, his route running is going to be great. And JSN is a star. I'm excited. I know, and shout out to Tyler Lockett. We lost him after a decade, and that stinks and whatnot. But I'm still super excited about what this skill set on offense is going to do this year.
Yeah, and this is gonna sound like a knock against DK, and maybe we'll see. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just how the Seahawks use them. But really, at the end of the day, DK had to learn one route, and it was the go ball, right? That's how the Seahawks use them, take the top off the defenses and then just slide JSN right in there. So, I think MVS has that same kind of speed. Obviously, he's not the same size, but as far as what the Seahawks need to kind of take the cover off the defenses, make sure a safety's always following DK, I think MVS could somewhat take over that role because he's got the speed and the downplay ability. Obviously, he's no DK Metcalf with that size. So, kind of 2 points there. I'm excited to see what DK can do in Pittsburgh. Maybe there is a little bit more in his route tree, and maybe he can, develop into more of a true receiver rather than just like an athlete. And yeah, and I think you nailed it, like getting Cooper Kupp and especially pairing with JSN. Those two guys are true receivers. Obviously, they're super athletic and naturally gifted, but Cooper Kupp's probably not running a 4.3, 4.4 at this stage in his career, but he still gets wide open against those zone coverages. Still a good man beater, just a true route runner, a true receiver. So yeah, I'm interested to see what DK does over there. And then, as far as like the size and the strength, you put in Arroyo, at the tight end, and you can't really replace DK with one guy. Adding in Arroyo's speed and strength, and then MVS's downfield threat, a combination of both of those can kind of fill that DK gap.
Yeah, I have a feeling that we may see that the Seahawks underutilized DK, so that's why I don't think you were taking a shot at DK at all. And if anything, I think we'll come back and we'll end up taking a shot maybe at Pete Carroll and the offense of utilizing DK. But what we have, I'm excited about for the reasons you just laid out.
Yeah, and there were a lot of times, and maybe we were just expecting more out of DK. Like he wasn't great on those 50-50 balls. Maybe that's, all receivers 50-50 balls are just tough to catch. But yeah, he was such a good weapon because there was times he'd go downfield and take 3 players with him, and then that little JSN, screen pass or little sand across the middle, and, all of a sudden JSN goes for 1,500 yards last year. Was it that much?
Something like that, yeah. So he was amazing.
Yeah, so I'm excited. It's always interesting to talk about football because, until you see the offense, until you see the defense, you just don't know. Like, baseball is a little bit easier, right? Because you can assume that Naylor's stats are going to translate to the American League, but you never know how it's going to translate with the cohesiveness of a team. But I'm excited.
Yeah, and just going back to Naylor that you just said there too, real quick, every Seattle fan should love him too. When he got traded, what's the first thing he said? Oh, I love the batter's eye in T-Mobile. Have you heard another player say that before?
No.
No, exactly. So I'm fired up.
Before we wrap up, I have one question, kind of related, not really related at all.
Listener question or a Justin question?
Justin question.
Okay.
So, it's not going to be the most thought out question. But on 4th of July, we were in small town Minnesota, and I got to be on this float and on the parade, and my job was to throw out footballs to the fans. And I'm pretty sure that I either strained or tore my UCL because it's not feeling good in the right elbow. I was throwing darts out there, so I could see how that happened. But I was asking, what do you think the chances, let's say, hypothetically, I have to get Tommy John surgery, that I just get Tommy John and I come back throwing like mid-90s, and all of a sudden I'm the pickup that the Mariners have to put them into October? Just what do you think the chances are? 0 to 100.
In other words, the movie The Rookie Part 2? Is that what you're saying?
I did just watch Rookie of the Year, so that could
not
be.
Rookie of the Year, The Rookie with Dennis
Oh, a
Quaid.
little combination.
Yes, The Rookie, where he was hurt and then came back and made the Devil Rays at the time. But well, that would absolutely stink, to be honest with you, to not being a competitive athlete and having to have Tommy John. That would absolutely stink. But sadly, there are people that are having that surgery at 12, 13, 14 years old just so that they can throw faster. It
Might be onto something.
It does seem to work, but it's, as you know from surgeries, and I've had 10 of them, you never really heal long term better than the way that you were put together in the first place.
What's the margin of the gap? Do you think I could go from throwing like 68 to 95 through Tommy John?
Well, first of all, you threw harder than 68 in your
But
heyday.
today, right now, there's no way. I could probably maybe hit low 7.
Okay, well, no, I don't think you can up it by a third. If you're throwing like 71, it might get you to 77. I don't think it's going to get you to 93.
Then it might not be worth it. Maybe just some rehab with the PT would probably be the best route.
Yeah, that would be the best route, I would think.
But you never know. So you're saying a 0% chance?
I would say a 0% chance. I've had both shoulders done, and I used to be able to throw a ball from the fence to the shortstop without a problem. And if it wasn't quite to the fence, I could make it all the way home on a throw. And now I have to roll the ball underhanded to get it back to the pitcher if I'm standing where the catcher stands.
At the end of the day, I gave my elbow to the kids. The kids of St. Cloud, Minnesota have a few extra footballs because of me. So
well, as you get older, you will lob the ball.
Well, thank you for joining us today. That is going to end our podcast. It feels good to be back. We'll have to get another one on the books soon, probably
Kraken in training camp soon.
And hopefully Mariners baseball, and we're kind of coming to the equinox where hopefully it's postseason baseball. First week of NFL will be around the corner, and then, Kraken wouldn't be too far behind. Exciting times ahead. We will see you all shortly.
Send those listener questions in.
Get the listener questions in, and let us know if you have any Tommy John experience. If I can start throwing mid-90s, that'd be helpful. Thanks, everyone.